Hello everyone, today I'll be explaining how to solve this exercise, which is asking me to write a program that reads two integers, x and y, and displays their addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And this is the output which must appear, which is asking the user to enter a number, then enter another number, and of course the computer must add, subtract, divide, multiply these numbers. And as what's important over here is that the whole operation appears, not only the end result, but also the addition of the two integers and so on. Now, the first thing is to do is to write the main method, because without the main method, nothing will work. You won't be able to run your program. The second step is to create the class, which is scanner, because you want your user to be able to write down on the console. So I'll call this class scan. You can call it whatever you want. And new scanner. Now, for this scanner for this class to function normally, you must call it. So I will, or import it. So I'll import this class. Now the next step is asking the user to to enter a number. So I'll print this. So I'll use system.out.print. Because the user is gonna write down an integer, I will write int. I'm gonna call this integer x, and of course, because the name of the class scanner is called scan, I'm just gonna write scan with dot. I'm gonna use this method, which is next int parentheses, and the next step is going to be the same thing as the first one, so I'll just copy it. And the same thing goes for this one, this step. I'm also going to copy it, but I'm just going to change the naming, and I'm going to call it y. The second number, I'll just call it y. Now, the next step is to actually add and subtract, do the operations. So first I'll declare and initialize adding. So I'll just call it add, and so I'm going to add x and y. Now the next step is to print something. So I'll print the whole operation, as I said. So the whole thing must appear. So I'll use system.out.print. Now, what's important to know is that what's going to change is the x, the number, and the y is also going to change, and the end result, which is the 5, is also going to change. But what will stay the same is the addition sign and the equal sign, and the minus sign over here, multiplication and division signs. So what I'm going to do is first put the x without any quotation marks, and I'm going to concatenate it with the y without quotation marks again, but actually going to concatenate it with the addition sign. So I'll put it between quotation marks. Why? Because the addition sign is always going to like be there. It won't like change. And I'm going to concatenate it with y, and then I'm going to like also concatenate it with the equal sign. And also concatenate it with the integer which we just declared, what we just declared and initialized, which is called add. So this is like the end result. And I'm also not going to put it between parentheses or quotation marks because it's also going to change. Now the next step is to do like the same thing what we did over here, but I'm just gonna like say subtraction. The next step is to subtract and then add, multiply, divide, and so on. So it's like the same steps. I'm gonna call it subtract. And the same thing goes for the other one. But besides like adding it, I'll just subtract. And this must change to like subtract. And the same thing goes for the others. So I'll just copy this. And I'll change the minus sign to a multiplication sign, and this will also be changed to multiply. And I'll also like write int. For the last one, I'll like do this first, and I won't like do it the right way so that you can understand what's wrong and what's right. So I'll like put it int for the first time, and you'll understand what I mean by this is like actually wrong. Now at the end, I'll just like also change this. Before I run the program, I'm just gonna add ln to each line because I want each like line to be on a separate one. So as you can see, each operation appears like with the full operation like appears. The addition, the x and y will appear in the end result. But the problem is that when we divided, the answer is 1. We do not want like it to be an integer. So the problem is that because we're dividing an integer by an integer, the end result is also going to be an integer. So we're going to change it into double, but this will not also be right. So I'll show you how. Now, as you can see, it did also give me this double form, the like form of a double, which is 1 point something, but it also did not give me like the right answer. Why? Because as I said, you're dividing an integer by an integer, so it's also gonna give me like an integer as like answer. So what you should do is change it into a double divided by an integer, or an integer divided by a double. So I'll just cast the x, so I'll write double over here, and I'll run the program. And now it actually worked. So this is the answer. You can also cast both x and y, and it's gonna also give us the same answer. Now, this is how you solve this exercise.